Hey everyone, we're at SilverStone Suite now at CES 2019, but you couldn't tell because it's the same suite every year. SilverStone always does things that are, typically you get some stuff on display that's still concept. And I mean, that's nice. Look at some of the other stuff we saw this year where it was a finished product that clearly wasn't supposed to be there and was a placeholder. So there's some concept stuff here like the Raven, and then there's some more or less finalized stuff. Before that, this video is brought to you by the Deepcool Captain 240 Pro AIO cooler. The Captain 240 Pro uses a bladder within the water tank to expand and contract based upon liquid temperature as a leak prevention mechanism. This works by burping air at higher temperatures, making for a unique closed-loop liquid cooler design. The Captain 240 Pro also expands upon the existing Captain series by extending tube length for more flexible positioning and updating the LEDs. Learn more at the link in the description below. The Redline 08, the RL06, of course, many of you are familiar with from our coverage, one of the best performers we tested in its size category and its price class. The RL08 follows the same trend, or at least the same external appearance of having a mesh front, which is nice to see. This borrows the tooling of the chassis from one of the LD series cases, and it's pretty evident by the chimney on the side that we talked about last year, but it's got a red stripe on it, so it fits the Redline series. Technically could go white if you want the alternative version. In terms of the case layout, mesh front, mesh top, there's dust filter with magnetic dust filter, and then the front has two 140mm fans, back has one 120mm fan. The price should be about $100, I believe, for this case, and that's with those fans included. Other than that, it is an inverted micro ATX layout. Micro ATX has had a bit of a revival lately, and Cooler Master, as an example, said that I think it's their Q500, was one of their better selling cases for the past year because there's such limited good micro ATX competition on the market. So you can count this as an entrance to that competition, the RL08. And because it's inverted, you get the interesting effect of having the video card facing up, just like with any other inverted case. So if you did mount fans up here, you probably want to do intake to blow just straight into the GPU fan, and the effect is functionally the same as doing a side intake in a standard orientation case where you've got direct intake straight into the fan, except the fan is more exposed in this stance than where it's horizontal. I guess it's basically a vertical orientation GPU with a side intake, which you don't really see anywhere. So from a cooling standpoint, this looks promising. We'll test it as always, but it does look promising. The default fan spec is good. The price for micro ATX is about where it should be. And I think at this point, we're just curious about how many of you are buying micro ATX. So let us know, because I know the NZXT Vulcan, when that went EOL, a lot of people in our audience were disappointed. The next case is a revival of the Raven series. And the Raven series cases, RV02 has been on the top of the thermal charts for a long time. And it's a bit of a problem because it's making it hard for anyone else to win the Best of Bench awards because the RV02 has been sitting there for so long. So RV02 is still up there. This is a revival. It doesn't have a product name yet. It doesn't have a price yet. It's in a prototype status. So what you're seeing on the front of the case is not final. Not much is 100% final. So we'll ask you to be open-minded and maybe leave suggestions or what you'd like to see below. So one example, this glossy front panel should probably change. One of the considerations right now, and this is important to get your feedback on, is should it be an acrylic? So sort of like the Revolt 2 that iWiPower made a few years ago, where you've got an acrylic display for the video card, because since it's, again, inverted and you end up actually, well, slightly rotated too with the video cards at the front, you could display those video cards, and the video card shroud is one of the most iconic pieces of a PC. So I guess that might be appealing to some of you, but let us know, because SilverStone has the opportunity here to make changes still. So one thing discussed is changing this with a slightly tinted acrylic. Could go clear acrylic or blackout with a matte color, kind of like the rest of the case. The back is still in finalization. The back of the chassis is still in finalization stages, but the interior, you're more or less getting, you see what you get already. Bottom is still two of the large fans, the 180mm, the air penetrators, which we reviewed previously, one of the AP181, the original, and then a follow-up to that. These are AP183s. So a few updates from the RV02 that we reviewed originally. Double ball bearing, whereas the original, the AP181, was a sleeve. I think the AP182 went to a double ball bearing as well. For the RPMs, it's looking like 400 to 1500 on the 183s that are in this case, which is an uptick from the 1200 RPM max of the original that I was talking about earlier. 40% less power consumption for the fan at 1500 RPM versus the previous max of 1200 RPM, which is significant. So it's not even RPM matched, and it's still down. PWM, which is important as well. And then the rest of this is going to be case side stuff. So I think we have shots of this coming off, and there's a 120 in the top with the grill on it, which is helpful for sort of just targeting the airflow. The backside has had important updates. So the biggest problem with good cases that are old is that trends like cable management weren't a thing yet. This has had updates for cable management. It's had updates for some radiator support. So the side over here can do a 280 millimeter radiator. The back is, again, basically TBD, but the side can do 280. So that's a good improvement as well. It's just, I think from a performance standpoint, because it's so similar in the important ways to the RV02, except improved with the fans, performance is looking fine. It's just going to come down to looks. And that's where, I mean, I can say what I think, but I think you need to hear what the wider audience thinks. So what happens to the front panel? Let me know what you think. My opinion, if you want to pause and leave your comment first, is probably go with an acrylic just because it'd be unique, because you could see the video card, and that as a display piece rather than the front of the case natively is sort of interesting to me, but maybe not a good seller. So let us know. And then the back panel, I think, should probably be flattened. But if you disagree, feel free to post your comments. SilverStone will potentially read them, or I'll send them the ones that aren't trolling and memey. Otherwise, that's it for SilverStone Suite. $100 for this one. TBD for a lot of things on this, including price. Subscribe for more as always. Go to patreon.com/gamersnexus to help us out directly, or store.gamersnexus.net. Thank you for watching. I'll see you all next time.